Action Comics number 6, The Man Who Sold Superman, also known as Superman's phony manager in, I believe, Superman number 3, is a much more fun story to talk about than yesterday's, and it doesn't have any egregious, crazy things Superman does. It's actually a much more generic Superman story compared to the first 4 comics. Clark Kent is called into George Taylor's office. If you recall, George Taylor is pre-Perry White editor-in-chief. And we're talking about the Daily Star and not the Daily Planet. I have possibly made that mistake and called it the Daily Planet before. Is there a huge difference between the Daily Star and the Daily Planet? No. It just becomes the Daily Planet after about 20 issues. So you might forgive me for getting that confused at times, because it's so programmed in as being the Daily Planet. George Taylor is meeting with a man who claims to be Superman's manager. This is news to Clark Kent. He wants to be able to give exclusives to the newspaper if they're willing to pay to interview Superman. And to prove that he is Superman's manager, he shows that Superman is on a car ad on a billboard nearby. He's also dropping flyers and a few other marketing material. Apparently Superman's now the mascot of a cereal. Clark Kent is, as you might expect, suspicious of all this. I'm also not very clear on how well known Superman is supposed to be in this comics. As I've mentioned, he seems to be more of a myth or urban legend currently. Not exactly in the shadows, but people don't seem to know who he is, which is just off for Superman. Once again, he is a guy wearing a bright blue costume with a red cape, jumping around in the middle of the day, saving people. He's not very subtle, but these issues kind of switch back and forth between do people know about Superman and do they not know about Superman? And usually the answer is whatever that issue needs him to be. Though people not knowing who he is doesn't really change much. It's just a fun thing for Siegel to do when he runs in and people are like, who are you? Oddly, no one ever seems to be all that distracted by the blue tights and red cape. I guess that's not unusual. The manager is willing to prove to Clark Kent that he knows Superman by inviting him over to his office at night where he can meet Superman. Clark takes him up on that. While this meeting is happening, a young blonde, he is described as office boy, hyphened one word, not just office boy, who I'm not sure how old he is supposed to be here. But this is the first appearance of James Olsen, Jimmy Olsen, technically his Earth 2 version. He overhears this conversation at the keyhole. He walks over to Lois and tells her that Clark is meeting with Superman. She wants to see Superman. As we know, she has a gigantic crush on him. So she agrees to go out on a date with Clark. Clark agrees because Clark is always trying to get a date with her. It's not the best storyline. He's kind of like Urkel. He's always annoying Lois to get a date with her. They go out on this date, and she, while he's not looking, drugs his food. Like I said, I enjoy this tenacious, can't-be-stopped Lois Lane, but every now and then she does something as crazy as Superman does in these issues. And I have to admit to my own embarrassment that I didn't quite pick up on the fact that Clark passes out immediately, seeing that he is, Superman, and drugs shouldn't work on him like that. But as soon as she leaves, it turns out that he knew about it and let her do it and pretended to get knocked out. So we're getting more of a tete-a-tete relationship between the two of them. He's going to let her get away with things, but he's still going to try to help. Lois goes to this meeting where we see the manager meet with his phony Superman. You can really tell he's phony because he has brown hair and doesn't look like Clark. It's odd that he does have brown hair because in some of the advertisement we see he does have black hair and looks like Superman. But this guy looks nothing like Superman other than the costume. If Superman isn't well known, how did he get the costume so right on? As far as we know, no one has gotten a picture of him. Actually, this brings me up to the art. Joe Shuster is joined on inking by Paul Loretta, and the comic looks drastically better than the first 4 issues. Characters are distinct. It looks less rushed. My first thought it had to do with inking, then when I looked it up, in fact, he did have a co-inker. But Paul Loretta and other artists will join or do the inking as these issues go on, and I don't feel like the art stays very consistent. It will go back to being rushed looking. So my only really hypothesis for why this is happening is he possibly had more time to work on this issue, maybe because of the inker, but it definitely looks a lot better. There are clean lines. Panels are much less busy. I'm like legitimately flabbergasted to why the art looks so much better here. Lois goes to the meeting. The manager is not all that taken aback that it's not Clark being there. The fake Superman tries to prove his prowess by lifting a desk and bending a pipe. But Lois sees through this. The desk is cardboard, so she can even lift it, and the pipe is aluminum, so she bends it back to its normal way. The manager gets paranoid about this and decides to murder her. We actually get this kind of story for the next couple of issues where the crime being committed, sometimes it's not even a crime, isn't that serious. I mean, this is identity theft. Kind of. Superman doesn't exactly have an identity you can steal, but they are making money off of him that he has not consented to. But the crime is nowhere near that serious compared to, say, murder. But once they get found out, they immediately get into murdering, specifically Lois, because it always has to be Lois. The manager's immediately like, okay, let's throw her out the window. Man, that escalated quickly. So they throw her out the window. This is when the actual Superman shows up. He saves her, goes back in. The fake Superman tries to fight him in several different ways, but he can't hurt Superman. No one can currently hurt Superman. He gets so terrified by Superman when Superman brings them to the police station, he wants to be as far away from Superman as possible, so he goes, yeah, I'll admit to it so you guys can put me in prison, which then is a confession against the manager, and both men are put away. Like I said, that is one of two ways these comics end. And yeah, that's Superman's phony manager, or the man who sold Superman. I could have done without the Lois murdering, but it is an improvement. It's a lot more fun than just having him deal with mobsters or do one thing. He's kind of messing with somebody who is taking advantage of a situation. It's still not my ideal type of Superman story, but I would take these over Action Comics number 4 anytime. And that's it for Action Comics number 6. I keep almost saying Action Comics number 5, but it was Action Comics number 6. Join me tomorrow when I talk about Action Comics number 7, which I believe is a story very much in this structure. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Share it as much as you want. You can also read the reviews I wrote about these ahead of time. They are different on my website, supermancomicaday.com. I have a Twitter, LastNobleSteed at twitter.com, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.